What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt, joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, everything is going on. I'm happy to be here, excited every time we get a chance to do the HBCU Huddle. And now we're right away from kickoff, man. It's like media days coming up. Everything, you're setting your schedules for which classics and games you want to hit. And Memphis, HBCU Huddle, Grind City Media is going to have you covered from wall to wall, from the start of the HBCU football season all the way to the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta and beyond. I'm excited, CJ. I'm ready to do this.
I can tell. Well, we got a great show for you all lined up. We're going to talk some HBCU's players getting drafted in the MLB. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk. We got some coaching news, some things to talk about over at Jackson State as well. We decided we were going to do a pick six this week about the six, for me, most intriguing FBS transfers to HBCU programs. We have all of that to talk about and more. But first, Mike, the coaches poll came out today. We're recording this on Wednesday. Early today, the coaches poll, Donald Ware BOXTOROW Coaches Poll came out. Mike, what stood out to you?
You know what stood out is that you're going to start the season with the same way in the champion that finished the season. So there's going to be no surprise at the top of this coaches poll as you get ready to see it right here. Defending HBCU national champion North Carolina Central comes in with 16 of the 20 first place votes among HBCU football coaches. Now, the media poll, which you and I are going to have a say in, comes out in a couple more days, right? Okay. Donald usually releases that, curates that among national media members who cover HBCU football. So you and I will have a say-so in what the media poll looks like. But coaches, North Carolina Central won it last year. FAMU sneaks ahead of Jackson State, so that puts a little bit of pressure on Willie Simmons there at FAMU. Jackson State 3, as you see. A&T 4, they almost made the playoffs last year in a new conference down there, in another new conference, making another conference shift. Southern is right there, Prairie View A&M. Howard might be the surprise team in black college football this year based on how they finished the season. Alabama State, Alcorn State, your guy, Fred McNair, and the men's down there. The men's down there.
Good men's.
They're loading up on their Gatorades at the Kroger's, and they're getting ready for camp there, man. And then Texas Southern, which is kind of a surprise there, but we'll see what they can do down there. We know that they're high-powered offense down in Houston with Texas Southern right there. So, 1 through 10, the coaches put their vote in. We saw what it is. And right now, you're going to see media days coming up in the next week or two. And now we're going to see the first team preseason, all conference teams, and the predicted order of finish from each conference as we talk about as we move forward.
If it's and I don't like bringing him up because it elicits such a strong, unnecessary reaction from people. But if Prom was still at Jackson State, you think they would have got the first place preseason? Because this is the second time we've seen this. Jackson State gets to the Celebration Bowl, and throughout the course of the season, they were the best college football team at the HBCU level.
They were.
They get to the Celebration Bowl, they come up a bit short, and then to start the next season, the team that won the Celebration Bowl is at 1, and they're at 2. This year, if Prom is still at Jackson State and all those guys don't Travis Hunter, the Shador, Shiloh, etc., if they don't transfer out, do you think that, hey, there's just too much talent there at Jackson State for them to be denied that top spot?
Great question. And remember, last year this time, I was the one saying you got to put South Carolina State 1. And I had South Carolina State number 1 for the first 2-3 weeks of the season because I felt like even though Jackson State was blowing teams out and performing at a high level, until South Carolina State lost, I felt like because they beat Jackson State in that championship game, they deserved to be ahead of them. So to me, I would have still had Jackson State coming in at number 2 until Central proved otherwise. But that's a great question because had Prime not left, there's no doubt that they would have had the greatest roster in HBCU football. And they would have come out with an opportunity to play and show some things right out the gate. But no, until you beat the champ is the champ, and North Carolina Central and Coach Trey Oliver, they're the champs, and I would have them number 1.
Howard, is that the biggest threat to North Carolina Central, you think, as we sit here in July, talking about football that'll be played in October and November? Do you think they're the biggest challenger to Central this year?
As you say that, and if we can get the poll back up here one more time, as I try to to buy some time before I can figure out whether they were on there or not. It's easy to say that Howard is the sleeper, and I did say Howard was the sleeper. Delaware State is going to be good too, and if we can't get it, I can't remember or not. I don't believe South Carolina State they weren't on there. And I have it. I have it right here.
Get that thrown back up.
And the thing is, if not, that's fine. That's fine. If it's not there, South Carolina State is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And I think Buddy Pugh is going to have something to say about that. So, North Carolina Central is going to have, there it is right there. I don't see South Carolina State at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. The only states I see are Jackson State, Alabama State, and Alcorn State. That's not common when you're Buddy Pugh, the longest tenured HBCU football coach, who has a history of putting guys in the NFL and have a history of having one of the toughest defenses in all of FCS football, let alone black college football. So I still want to say South Carolina State will be the toughest test for North Carolina Central. But I think it's going to be, I think the MEAC is going to be competitive because it's do or die time even at Norfolk State. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For my man Big Worm up there who left in Southern, Dawson Odom's the head coach at Norfolk State. He went there with high expectations and they haven't really performed up to task. But Howard is ready. Like Howard is finally, even though they're small, they don't recruit at a national level like some of these other teams do. But they know what they are, and they're finally playing like they want to kick the door down in the MEAC, and they have a chance.
I do believe the MEAC has had a different champion, like each
for at least the last 2 years.
I think 4 or 5. I'd have to double check that.
Yeah, and A&T had that run for a long time.
Well, then A&T left the conference. So A&T left in like 19.
Last 3.
Okay, so
A&T,
last 3.
South Carolina State, North Carolina Central.
So it could be, for me, that's the thing I'm most intrigued about. As one of the things I'm most intrigued about from a storyline standpoint as we look ahead to the start of the 2023 football season is the fact that MEAC has a lot of parity, and nobody was talking about North Carolina Central this time last year.
Right.
And North Carolina Central went out there and took care of, was that Alcorn? Who did they beat in the
early?
Early on. It was early. It was Alcorn State, and it was okay. Well, North Carolina Central is here, and you look up, and they just kept rolling. I was waiting for them to stumble and fall off, and no, they just kept rolling. I think South Carolina State had something kind of similar happen where it was, they're going to slow up here a bit at some point, and just never did.
Right.
And so I think that conference is, at the start of the season, wide open, and we could see somebody like a Morgan State even, I think, get up in there and get into the mix for a chance to win the MEAC. And hey, you win the MEAC, you get to go to the Celebration Bowl. And I don't know if you know this or not, Mike, but I don't think the SWAC has a lot of those wins. I think they got one. Yeah, I'm thinking real hard.
In the last 10 years,
they got one.
You're talking about 1 or 2 in the last 8 to 10 years, and it's just one of those things where the SWAC dominates during the regular season, but they can't figure out how to beat the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. So as you said, the last 3 years, 3 different champions coming out of the MEAC, and it could be a 4th straight year here too. And all of those teams are right there. And I don't think there's anyone head and shoulders above the others. I do think North Carolina Central is strong because they had some transfers coming in at some key positions, and they have the best quarterback coming back one more year. They have a pretty solid running game as well right there, and it's going to be tough to beat those guys because they're probably the most balanced offense that you're going to see with few questions. There's a lot of questions facing some of these other teams, but hey, Trey Oliver and what they're doing at Central right now is the team to beat. And then when you look around, SWAC Media Day is this coming Tuesday. Right?
We'll be there.
And we will be there. HBCU Huddle will be there, capturing all of the storylines, all the live. We're going to sit down and have a chance to talk to UAPB, who's going to be in Memphis a month after that for the big time classic game against Tennessee State, replacing Jackson.
Just want to let everybody know, Mike is trying to make me work. So
that's it.
I might not be able to film upside videos.
Nah, we're gonna get you straight. You're gonna get it straight. This is your time of the year to shine, man, and we're gonna make sure we do it. Get all the storylines from the SWAC coming in. What's TC Taylor? And we're going to get to him in a second. How is he going to live up to the expectations at Jackson State? Because those expectations have not changed. So when you look at where we are, Jackson State is number 3, FAMU's number 2, that kind of puts Willie Simmons in the driver's seat to see if he can make a breakthrough in the SWAC this year after FAMU came on board 3 years ago to the SWAC. So we'll see if this is the year FAMU breaks through and finally gets there from being the bridesmaid the last 2 years.
One team you would have ranked is who? Is it South Carolina State?
I would go with them.
Okay.
I would go with South Carolina State just out of respect.
For what Buddy Pugh has done.
For what Buddy Pugh has done. I would have had them. I also wouldn't have had Alcorn State so far down because of the track record, that my man Fred McNair has shown. They're always going to be in the mix. But having said that, though, having said all of those things, South Carolina State is the team that I'm saying, hey, this might be a team that kind of gets overlooked. And if they're not in the top 10, something is wrong usually in the MEAC.
I would throw, just off the strength of respect.
Yeah.
I would throw Morgan State in there.
Ooh.
I think that they got great coaching.
They do.
They do. And you take a look at what's going on up
Our guy,
there.
DeMond Wilson.
I love what Coach Wilson did. And at his previous stop, love what he's doing at Morgan State. I think that another year of that system, of those players being in that system, I feel like it's a matter of when does Morgan State make that jump. And I think it might be this year. If I was just somebody not ranked who I'm keeping an eye on, who I expect at some point this year to get ranked, is Morgan State for me.
Let me take back. I have to. Okay, South Carolina State is there. Right?
Yes.
You know who also isn't on there? Ominously missing? Tennessee State.
Well, listen.
Tennessee State. And
they've got to do it first.
They've got to do it first. But how much? I mean, come on. This is an HBCU coaches poll, right? So it's time, man. And as much as we absolutely love Eddie George, he's been a friend of the show. He's been on the show. You guys have a relationship. Going back to the schools that you attended and his son attended and all those kind of things. And we'll have him on the show, this coming season as well too. Tennessee State's they can't be just a dormant team. Too much is going on in Nashville. Too many things are going. They have the biggest media market among all of these teams in the South right now, among all the HBCUs in the South. They have the resources. They play in the NFL stadium. They can recruit. They're playing at a higher level of football, technically in the OVC. It's time for them to have a year where they go beyond 6-5, 7-4. They have to have one of these years where they get back to that dominance, and it's year 4. I have to believe year 3.
It's 3.
Year 3 for Eddie George there. If it's not now, then when?
I would expect big years from Draylon Ellis and Tennessee State, but again, I need to see it happen.
You're not a bandwagon guy.
I don't hop on the bandwagon till late. We talked about it. Think about how long it took me. Jackson State had to go to Alabama A&M and beat the hell out of those dudes.
In front of your eyes.
In front of me. In my eyes. I couldn't watch it on the TV. No, I needed to see it personally before I was willing to hop on it. But no, I expect Tennessee State is another good one because I expect there to be another leap for them as well this year. So let's see. It's great. It's football season. It's close to football season. Media Days is the start of football season for me. And so SWAC starts next week. We'll be there. And speaking, while we're previewing the football season, Mike, on the other side, let's take a look at some of the big-time transfers that are coming and playing some HBCU ball. You're listening to HBCU Huddle right here on Grind City Media.
It's just, baby went out with the bathwater on all this stuff. It just did. Where it's like, why are we?
I have no idea what that means.
Where'd you get that phrase from?
Never heard that.
Are you serious? It's like one of the most common phrases ever.
I've never heard anybody say baby went out with the bathwater.
Are you serious?
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yeah, hold up, park the Rolls truck. Why not pull up Lambo car and pop it with the doors up? This got colossal, I got models trying to pay me the tell her the price then went up. It's gonna cost more than the buck. Know that shit gonna be high, it got my name on this chronic. Driving slow now, but this car goes 0 to 60 if I punch it. She wake up and munch it, let me put
I am going to put up a picture of a toilet, an AI-inspired or an AI-generated toilet inspired by a certain Jordan shoe.
Jordan 1 Chicago.
Oh,
Wait,
my
how
God.
did you see that fast?
Okay, Jordan 8. Easy.
Yeah, that's
easy.
a Jordan 8.
The next one is going to be very easy as well. Go
Jordan
for number 5.
4,
Jordan 13.
13.
Oh, that's
Fire
a three-way
it.
tie right
Chicago.
there.
Cherry.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The summer concert experience of a lifetime.
My name is Erica Badu.
With the Grammy Award-winning Erykah Badu.
He gave me the life that I came to live.
Erykah Badu, like you've never seen her before. The music, the vibe of Erykah Badu with special guest Yasin Bey. The Follow Me Tour with Erykah Badu. July 21st at FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Welcome back, everybody. HBCU Huddle with me, CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. It's time to look at our pick 6 for the week. We're going to be talking about the FBS transfers who are coming in, playing some HBCU ball. With it being so close to the college football season, we'll start doing more of these pick 6s where we'll take looks at coaches and teams and individual players and maybe even position groups as well. But for this week, we're doing FBS transfers at the HBCU level. And as we look here, I went off the board. I went deep off the board, Mike.
Yeah.
I went with Jovincely Basil, running back for Bethune-Cookman, transfer out of Washington State. And you know I'm a sucker. I am a sucker for a athlete, somebody who played multiple sports and did really, really well in both of them. Basil is a Florida kid. I think his high school was in Naples, Florida, if I recall correctly. Set records in the 100-meter, 200-meter, and long jump. 3-time region champion in all of those events as well. And one of the things I liked about him was, in doing a bit of research, he didn't play much at Washington State, where he's transferring from, but his coaches couldn't sing enough praises about his character. And his running back coach particularly took to Twitter when he found out that Basil was traveling, and he's traveling
across the country.
back home, transferring. He tweeted this out about him. He said his character is above reproach. He was informed early about his football future at Washington State and chose to practice hard every day with positivity, which helped our team out tremendously. He seems to be a team first kind of guy. 1, 2, the talent seems like it's there. I do believe he was a 3-star coming out of high school. I think he was certainly top 100 at his position, may have been top 75 at his position as well. And so that's the one I got to start with.
That tells you the level of respect that
coaches don't do that.
Football, that too, but coming all the way from Washington State all the way to Florida to recruit, right? I mean, you're getting this kid to come literally all the way across the country. That's the furthest points that you can go from that standpoint. So, for him to be able to go there, to understand what training at that level is in the Pac-12, and then to come back, he should help Bethune-Cookman because Bethune-Cookman needs all the help that they can get. But this is a kid that should be a dynamic player in that program as they look to rebound from what's been such a difficult last 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at my number 5.
Great name, too. Great name. Great name. I mean, Bethune always comes with some great names. I think, just over the years, man, they've had some players with – it was I think they had a Tupac last year or a couple years ago.
Crazy that case is breaking now. They finally issued not a warrant. They issued a what's it called when you get to go in somebody's house and search for evidence?
Oh, search warrant.
Search warrant.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can't figure out the name of search warrant, but they issued a search warrant in the house. So they were
in
able to
whose
go.
House?
Oh gosh,
what are we talking about?
Yeah,
where did we go from
Well, you brought up Tupac.
Okay.
You said name at Bethune.
And
I'm saying that did you know they issued a search warrant for the murder of Tupac early this morning?
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know. The murder of Tupac finally got a search warrant.
Yeah.
All of these years later.
25.
We talking years and years.
25.
Yo, I was in college when Tupac got shot.
I was in elementary school. How's that make you feel?
Man, I was at Grambling State University when he after the Tyson fight. You know what I'm saying? Okay, all right.
Minglewood, where you at? Minglewood Elementary, Clarksville, Tennessee. Shout out Mighty Oaks. All right, let's get to number 5.
Yes.
Number 5 is Jaquez Yant, running back from Florida A&M, expecting big things from him. This is a Florida A&M team, Mike, who, as you know, we talked about it in the last segment. They are number 2 right now in the coaches poll, and your favorite, they would be my favorite right now to win the SWAC next year. To do so, they're going to need a special season from this young man right here. Transferred from Nebraska. He walked on at Nebraska and then transferred to FAMU, and he's coming back home also. The first 2 I have are Florida kids who left Florida and are transferring back to HBCU programs. He had a couple of really good games while at Nebraska. He had one in particular against Northwestern where he rushed for, I do believe, over 130, maybe 134 yards and a touchdown against Northwestern. Okay. So you're getting somebody in him who is a big play waiting to happen.
Big time.
You're just waiting on him to hit a home run. He's going to give you at least one of those a game.
You know, I mean, obviously coming from Nebraska, it's going to be a run-heavy offense, and if he's a running back in that system, he knows what he's doing. Nebraska went through some major changes. Obviously, they made the big-time coaching change in the middle of last year, going back to last year, where they had to get rid of one of their own at the top, Scott Frost, right? So it was one of those situations where, it didn't work out there, new coaching staff coming in. He's coming back home. He's going to have – that might be the best running back quarterback combination that we see in the MEAC right now. Okay. In the SWAC right now. So we'll see if Yant can definitely take the Rattlers to the next level, take that running game to the next level.
As we go to number 4 on the list, Caden Cobb, Howard quarterback, transfer from Ball State. He's a 3-star quarterback, or he was a 3-star quarterback with a lot of Power 5 offers: Kansas State, Iowa, Boston College, Washington. Ended up choosing Ball State, and I do believe he still has 4 years of eligibility, 3 or 4 years of eligibility. He'll be transferring into a Howard program with high expectations. Quentin Williams is there right now. Quentin Williams, for those who might have forgotten or might not know, he was second team all MEAC last year. He had a pretty stellar year with 1,884 yards through the air and 16 touchdowns. But, you can always upgrade. We've seen upgrades happen with pretty good quarterbacks, and I think that Caden Cobb has the potential to come in and not only challenge him for that quarterback spot, but win it outright and take the reins for the Bison.
That's when you know you're at the next level. That's when you know you're trying to compete for conference championships, when you can bring in depth and you have iron sharpening iron at that quarterback position or at all of the skill competition positions there. So when you have 2 quarterbacks that are going to push each other, then you have the depth that you need to get through a season, because this is a physical game. Chances are Howard's going to need both of those quarterbacks at some point during the season.
And it's not anything we hadn't seen before. Remember, we saw Jalen Hurts get benched for Tua Tagovailoa. We've seen we're going to see right now this year, there's Quinn Ewers, who transferred from Ohio State and went to Texas, and Manning. The Arch Manning.
Yep, Arch Manning.
So
incoming freshman. Yeah.
Incoming freshman. We've seen that happen. It's nothing new or unique. It's going to be interesting to see which one the Bison choose to roll with. At number 3 on my list, we have Cardell Thomas, offensive lineman, Florida A&M. Got to show the big guys some love. Also, I apologize, defensive dudes. When I looked, these guys jumped off the page to me. Not saying that defense isn't important, because it is, but these are the guys that I chose. All of them are offense, Mike. Every one of them.
And those are typically the impact guys. I mean, defense, they're going to be able to make plays and defend, and obviously it is what it is. But when you talk about transforming a unit or a school or a team, another big-time transfer coming in for Willie Simmons, that's 2 right there. One from Nebraska, who had a 100-yard rushing game in that league. And then obviously if you're coming from LSU, chances are you went to LSU as one of the top 4 or 5-star prospects coming out of high school. So to get that kind of talent on your offensive line behind that running game, or to spearhead that running game and to protect that passing game, Willie Simmons is going all in this year to make it happen.
Ranked number 22 at the offensive guard position nationally, 4-star prospect. He played a lot of backup ball at LSU, was according to them, a key backup, a key reserve for them. He played about 206 snaps, started 2 games. Like, he's got experience also, and he's not a young guy. This might be his 5th year. He might be a 5th-year dude.
Okay.
And so with that type of experience playing at the SEC level, coming into Florida A&M, like you said, Mike, that's somebody who's going to anchor that game, that ground game, as well as the passing game. You know that you're not getting any pressure from this guy, while also knowing, hey, if we want to run the ball, just get right here behind his crack and go straight up, because he's going to move dudes out of the way.
It's going to be fun watching FAMU play this year for sure.
Absolutely. At number 2, we have Kenji Christian, running back from North Carolina A&T, transfer from Virginia Tech, looking to replace Tutton from last year, who had a really, really good year for North Carolina A&T, who transferred to Virginia Tech. So they just swapped running backs, Virginia Tech and North Carolina A&T, and Christian has some big shoes to fill. Tutton was a top 10 back nationally when you look at total rushing yards and rushing touchdowns on the ground last year. One thing about North Carolina A&T, some of these teams you just have to assume this at this time of the year until they show you otherwise. You've earned my respect in this sort of way. We talked about it some with Buddy Pugh, where, hey, Buddy Pugh should probably be in the top 10 just off of the respect of what he's done. Of everybody, he would be most likely to do it again. North Carolina A&T and running backs, especially the past decade.
That's
when
running back
you think about it.
That's running back
like,
you.
Yo, whoever's at running back at North Carolina A&T for the Aggies, that's going to be a damn good running back. He's going to be impactful just because of what they've done historically at that position.
And as you said before, I mean, this is a situation where you had running backs transfer and probably cross paths, going from Virginia Tech to North Carolina A&T. You had one guy that elevated himself at A&T and said, let me take my game to the next level because I think I could do it on the biggest stage. And then you had another guy that was at the biggest stage, a Power 5 program, that needed a little bit more of an opportunity. So now they both find a home, and I think it's going to help both teams when it comes to their running back depth. But A&T is looking to get back into the national prominence and back to the division FCS playoff situation. So this is an opportunity for them to be able to do that.
Came a game short.
Last game of the regular season.
Yep. Game short last year. Here's hoping that they get over that hump and they get back to the FCS playoffs. Number 1 on my FBS transfer list, Tyler Macon, quarterback out of Alcorn State, transfers in from Missouri. Rivals had him 13th best dual threat quarterback in the nation. 13th best dual threat quarterback in the nation, and he's coming through to play quarterback for Coach McNair in Alcorn State. He's built similarly to Felix Harper, who was for those who don't know, Felix Harper was the quarterback at Alcorn State the last time they won the SWAC championship. So if you're telling me you're getting Felix Harper 2.0, I'm telling you, color me interested, Alcorn. I want to see what that looks like.
And that transfer trend, for our guy McNair down there, Lenoris Footman, coming in, doing it. And then Felix Harper, as you mentioned. And now this guy is the latest one right here when you talk about Tyler Macon. And, again, coming from a Mizzou, your SEC level quarterback, your SEC caliber, he got a little bit of opportunity there at Mizzou, and now he's coming back. And McNair knows what to do with these dual threat quarterbacks. They're going to be equally as dominant running the ball as they are making big plays, throwing the ball from the backfield. So it's going to be explosive, and you know that McNair is going to have something for the SWAC, because just as soon as you think that Alcorn State is down, they find a way to kick up and end up in the division championship, the conference championship game, and fighting for a chance to get back to the Celebration Bowl themselves. So big time big time recruits, big time second opportunities for all 6 of these guys on your pick 6.
A couple of other stories, some things we want to highlight in our Culture Makers segment. Let's start with the MLB. The Minnesota Twins drafted Nolan Santos out of Bethune-Cookman, making him the first HBCU player drafted in the 2023 MLB draft. Mike, what does that say to you about not just the state of baseball at the HBCU level, but what can be accomplished and achieved if you go to a HBCU?
I mean, this is a major, opportunity. You know what I mean? For that means, number one, the scouting is improving. You're seeing these showcase classics in these games. I mean, Seattle just hosted an opportunity for HBCU baseball players to showcase their abilities there. Ken Griffey Jr. was involved in it. Different guys in Major League Baseball has been involved in it. And when you get these prospects in front of scouts, they have a chance to perform. I saw Bethune-Cookman, get their opportunity. I was at the SWAC baseball tournament in Atlanta a couple months back, and they rallied to win that conference tournament with some quality pitching. And he was the head of that, the ace of that staff. So, he'll have a chance to do some things in the minor league system, but it's good to know that there is a pathway for HBCU baseball players to get into the major leagues.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hats off to him. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing what his career amounts to. Speaking of careers and amounting to, T.C. Taylor, new coach at Jackson State. I look forward to seeing what his career leads him and what it amounts to. Stan Becton on the NCAA's website has an interesting article up about the six new coaches best positioned to have successful seasons. TC made that list. Mike, what were some of your major takeaways from the excerpt about T.C. Taylor?
I mean, that the NCAA and FCS football on a national scale is aware of what Jackson State's doing. We know Jackson State has led the league in attendance, led the nation in attendance when it comes to that level of football. They posted the best 3-year record that we've seen over the last 3 years, and they just haven't had a championship opportunity to show for it. But with this website, and you can go to FCS Sports on the NCAA's website, 27 new coaches from the FCS ranks. The top 6 that they think can have breakthroughs, T.C. Taylor is one of those 6. And I just wanted to read a quick excerpt right here what they said. They said, Jackson State is coming off of 2 straight SWAC titles and Celebration Bowl losses. The expectation Taylor has set for himself, his team, and Tiger fan base is that Jackson State won't miss a beat after losing primetime Sanders to Colorado, and they will return to the Celebration Bowl for a 3rd straight year. They just don't want to make it. They want to win it for the first time in program history. So it's like championship or bust for a guy coming in to be a coach for the first time. Expectations don't get higher than that. But T.C. Taylor has everything that he needs. He's re-recruited a lot of players, new staff, new team coming in, but the expectations are still sky high at Jackson State. And we'll see if he can break through and get over the hump finally. It's going to be all eyes on T.C. Taylor now. Prime left the cupboard bare when it comes to talent. TC restocked it, but the expectation is still to win it all, and we'll see if they can do it at Jackson State.
One of the things that Coach Prime did well when he was at Jackson State was he worked the portal. And so he was bringing in a bunch of FBS guys.
Yeah.
And when I went through and kind of counted up, by my count, I could be off, but I think Jackson State has 12 FBS transfers on roster. From this year, guys who transferred in this year. So there's talent. You got to be able to coach, absolutely. You also have to be able to get talent and bring talent in. And it looks like T.C. Taylor is picking up kind of where Coach Deion Sanders left off with going out and being able to acquire the talent. I just want to see it all come together because Mike, the kid doesn't hop on bandwagons.
Nah.
I'm always the last one on one of those.
There are a lot of bandwagons to hop on, man. So again, as we wrap up, you're looking at Jackson State is in championship or bust mode. North Carolina Central is looking to repeat. That's championship or bust mode. FAMU and Willie Simmons is loading up with all of these transfers that made your list. It's championship or bust mode. Last time I checked, only one team can win the championship. You got at least 3.
I would throw Southern in there as well.
So yes,
I would throw Southern in there.
Is ready. They smell blood in the SWAC West.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They definitely see an opportunity.
It feels like Alcorn State is always in that mode.
They are.
It feels like that. Throw them in there as well. Howard's trying to turn the corner, so maybe not championship or bust. Maybe it's corner turning season for the Buffaloes. It's going to be a great season. Looking forward to all of those storylines and more, and of course, looking forward to next week.
Hold up, bro. Bison. You said Buffalo.
Why did I say Buffalo?
Colorado. You thinking prime.
Prime
effect, man. Prime effect. But yeah, we got it, though. The thing is, I can't let that go because I'm a D.C. guy. Howard is right there in my
Please
backyard.
correct me. Please correct me.
My daughter went there. The vice president of the United States went there. I can't let this fly. Somebody would have hit us up and just clowned us if I let you go Buffaloes.
Don't want that to happen. So please correct it before they do it.
Same family.
They're related. They're related.
They're cousins.
The water bison.
Yeah.
No. Howard Bison. We're looking forward to next week when we will be in Birmingham, Alabama for the SWAC Media Day kickoff extravaganza. Whatever else adjectives you want to throw in it for really, really big and really, really exciting. So come back next week and we'll have great content for you from SWAC Media Days. That'll do it for this week's episode. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody take care.